Hello students, good morning. Welcome to Mission Sameeksha. This is the discussion of daily current affairs. This is just the discussion of content extraction from mains from the Hindu. Today that is 27th of September, the Tuesday. Again this is Vishakhapattanam edition. So what does this contain? Sameeksha contains what exactly we have to look at in the Hindu for our general studies, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, as well as for essay writing. Without much wasting of our time, let's go into the first component. Now, the first page carries about the rebels in Rajasthan, saying that yesterday they have given a statement saying that if Sachin Pilot was elected, then we are going to resign to Congress. Leave it, not much thing relevant here. So, the second thing is some change coming from Italy. Italy is shifting towards far right. That is seen much way back in 2019 or 2015 itself, when people like in US Donald Trump was elected. In France there was regime change. In UK there was regime change. Even in Italy, people are tilting towards the right. So I'll discuss this. We have something in editorial today. Ghulam Nabi Azad, who resigned to Congress recently, has floated his own party known as Democratic Azad Party. We have to wait and see whether it is going to be really an independent party or is it going to align with BJP in the coming days. Next one, not much news in the front page, followed by the regional news. Not much news for UPSC as such. Now, going to the editorials, home and abroad. This is something which is about our Foreign Minister Jaishankar's statement at the United Nations General Assembly, and he said that he has given a vision about India's past, future, as well as present, and he said that how the globe was changing. Obviously, we all know how the globe is today. It is in turmoil because of the wars, because of COVID-19 situations, because of impending food crisis, impending inflation, and because of changing climate change, and because of the wars that are happening across various parts of the world. The world is really in turmoil. This news is about that. Now, what he is saying is what our foreign minister has spoken at United Nations General Assembly. It was in continuation with SCO's dialogue that India had with Russia and its counterparts of SCO. In SCO, Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi made it very clear that India's stand on the Russian-Ukraine war is that we are speaking in the lines of maintaining peace. So he has really signaled that the era of end of war is done. This is neither to criticize Russia nor to condone its actions, but he is saying that what is our position, and it was reiterated this by our foreign minister in the same stance in United Nations General Assembly that India stands for peace, India stands for respect. It respects UN Charter, which stands for UN peace, again dialogue and diplomacy. So this is what India claims for, and as India is substantially favoring the so-called peace in the world, we have to have this United Nations Security Council seat. Ukraine-Russia war conflicts and US EU led sanctions on Iran and Russia, and how it is going to create global economic fragmentation and inflationary trends. The world is suffering because of these things. Just remember these two. And now Mr. Jaishankar has floated about India's new India under Narendra Modi, and he says that our vision is by 2047 we have to be a developed nation. In order to be ready, India is ready to enhance, to take up the responsibility of the United Nations Security Council. Hence, United Nations Security Council has to get upgraded or has to get reformed so that India will get its rightful share in the United Nations Security Council. That is, it will be accorded the P5 status of the permanent veto member status, right? However, it says that if you want to become a global power, what the thing that it has to do is not only at the global level, but India should also bridge the divides within its borders. That is, that may be with China, that may be with Pakistan, and it should not only look at its neighbors bridging the divide, but inside the country, polarization has to be stopped. So, in order to become a developed country, a new India, a leading country by 2047, it has to bridge the gaps that is getting polarized inside the nation, in its neighborhood, as well as at the global level. This is the context that he is speaking. So what are the things that you have for your general studies here? The only thing that you have for general studies here is in India's foreign policy, how what is that India has contributed for United Nations Security Council to gain a seat. Second thing is how is the world situated at now. World is really turmoil. Putting power back in the hands of the people. This speaks about how democracy has been uh, passing away, or how totalitarian regimes are coming into broad light. So democracy faces serious populism because there was racial genocides happening across the history. Blatant fascist leaning so-called democracies are escalating hunger, diseases in Africa, other parts of underdeveloped world are also facing diseases. As a result, democracies are under serious threat. So what he is directing is also direct democracies are going to help to revive this situation. Not much relevance, leave it. In political science and international relations, you have a leader or a political thinker called Hannah Arendt. Hannah Arendt has spoken about how evil rises, totalitarian regimes rises, and in reconciliation with the true nature of evil. She has studied about this, except that thing for political lines, political studies students, political science students, nothing is much relevant here. Yes, democracies are going in a declining phase as per the author, but uh, every political ideology has its own ups and downs in history. Maybe it is a downward phase, but tomorrow or day after tomorrow, again it is going to rise. So this is something common in human history, not just at this juncture. Yes, at this juncture, we are facing crisis. That doesn't mean that democracy is going to be demolished or direct democracies has to be possible. Right, leave it. Now, pitching India as a signature destination. Today, that is September 27th, is the World Tourism Day. On these lines, Union Minister of Tourism, Culture and Development of Northeast Regions, G. Kishan Reddy has written this, and he is saying what India has taken a role in promoting tourism. There are some prelims components here as well as mains components here. In the mains essay writing, what India has done to promote tourism. One thing is Dharmashala Declaration. What is this Dharmashala Declaration? It aims to recognize India's role in contributing towards global tourism as well as focusing on redevelopment of domestic tourism. So Dharmashala Declaration is about tourism sector. Remember that. Following that, Indian government has taken Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, which means interaction of mutual understanding of all the leaders of all the states so that tourism will be developed. This is second initiative the government of India has on tourism, and Ministry of Culture and Ministry of External Affairs are identifying highest tourist falls to India, countries from where we have a maximum number of tourists, and we are focusing on those countries. So this is third initiative that India has done. The fourth initiative that India has done is Ministry of Tourism is developing draft national tourism policy. We have to look at what this policy contains once that is released. But just remember, draft tourism policy is being framework is prepared. Now the guiding lines for our principles for our tourism are promoting sustainable, responsible, and inclusive tourism. Promoting sustainable, responsible, and inclusive tourism in line with our civilizational values. For this, India is focusing on National Green Tourism Mission. Green tourism. Don't destroy environment in your entertainment. That is what the message is. National green tourism. So this is fourth aspect, and this is the objective of our tourism. So India is also focusing on PPP partnership for promoting tourism. So these are the things, and what is the potential that we have. G20 summit is going to take place in the next year. So we are going to have this opportunity, or we are going to head G20, or the presidency is going to be moved to India from December 2022. This December we are going to be the president of, or we are going to chair the presidency of G20. Now, India has a great tradition of Atithi Devo Bhava, and it is going to uh, honor our tourists in the coming days in the same way. And what is the potential that this industry has by 2024? Achieving $150 billion of GDP, achieving 150 billions as GDP contribution from tourism, and $30 billion in foreign exchange is our target of our external affairs of our minister who has said about the concepts of tourism. So this is something about tourism. So just remember, about tourism. We have a good potential of tourism of about $150 billion of GDP contribution to tourism. It will get $30 billion as foreign exchange reserves. So with that data, this is substantially okay. Just remember 4 or 5 points from the entire article. One is what India has done to promote tourism in India. Dharmashala Declaration, very important for prelims, to promote global tourism and revive the domestic tourism. The second one is Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, that is synchronizing the capacities of all the states to revive tourism. The third one that we have is External Affairs Minister is identifying top destination tourist centers from where there is maximum number of tourists, and we are focusing on them. The fourth one is India has also been in line with National Tourism Policy 2022. It might come out in the coming months. We have to wait and watch on green tourism mission that India is launching on. And India is also focusing on PPP projects. This is sixth one. And Atithi Devo Bhava is our concept. And then we have one more thing called, there is something called sustainable, inclusive, and responsible tourism is our goal. With an industry of $150 billion, which will get 30 billion reserves, this tourism ministry or tourism industry has a great potential. So this is about tourism. Just remember these India's initiatives. What is the potential that is going to be enough? Turning inward, this is about what I started in our front page. Italy turning towards the right. Inward means looking into your country rather than outward, being a globalistic outlook. So turning inward means looking at protectionist tendencies rather than universal tendencies, rather than globalization, looking for deglobalization, looking towards inside your country, not promoting external things, right? These are the things. So this is something about rightism, conservatism. So this speaks about how the world has been shifting towards the right. Europe has been shifting towards the right. Why? For example, in the French last year, Le Pen, who was a far rightist leader, they secured maximum vote. In Sweden, there was so Sweden Democrats emerged as second largest party. Again, this is a far rightist party, Sweden Democratic Party, France Le Pen's party, and then in Italy you have the Brothers Party, that is uh, this coalition which includes Matteo Salvini's League, Silvio Berlusconi, and these people have secured 44% of the votes. Together they are called as Together they are called as the Brothers of Italy. They have secured maximum number of voting, which means Italy is tilting towards far right, and this is something which is after Mussolini, Benito Mussolini in 1945, that far right being coming to power is only after 1945. So what is this importance? This is nowhere importance for your prelims. But look, when you are writing mains answer writing, how ideologies are shifting, why people are shifting towards right is conservatism, deep globalization, protectionism is right. The cost of crisis is increasing. Now Europe is facing huge crisis. Under this situation, that is the so-called the people who are disgruntled. The disgruntlement of people is who are dissatisfied. The people who are dissatisfied is looking for a new dispensation where they can protect the rights of these people, where they can protect their own rights. So this is how uh, countries totally enter into a far rightist regime. How? Dissatisfaction, disgruntlement. Just remember that, then that is done. Right? Violent went wrong. This is letter to the editor. Democracy gives right people to write, to dissent and protest, not to destroy. So don't think that democracy gives us the right to destroy. This is in context of Popular Front of India destroying in some hartal some public property. You have right to dissent and protest, but not to destroy. This is what the author says, or this person says. So what are the important things here? What is India's prospects in the coming days in the international relations? Second one is what are India's achievements in tourism, or how we have to, what are the prospects of tourism? The third one is how world is tilting towards right. This has tilted not now, it has tilted way back in 2014, 2015 to 2019, where far right activists are coming forward and forming the government. So not a new thing. So the only thing important here is this editorial and this editorial, two things. Samarkand, a miniature of an emerging world. This is written by T.P. Srinivasan, the former ambassador of India and governor of India for at the so-called International Atomic Energy Agency. Now, what he says is the outcomes that we have seen in Samarkand and how it is reflecting an emerging world. If you look at the so-called SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, what he says is India has made its stand very clear about Russia's war, that this is not an era of war, but an era of reconciliation, an era of the so-called discussions and debates. So, however, the world leaders, he says that in SEO has groped in the dark for an ideal world order. People spoken about world order, an ideal world order, but this is groping in the dark. A very simple way of putting the entire things that was done in SEO. Now, what is this man says? This man says that what India has projected and what are the things that actually has happened in SEO. Though India has unified for it a stand, or India called for a stand of the so-called peace in the world, peace in the world, but these leaders, the rest of the leaders didn't take this thing in the correct way. For example, China itself is destroying peace in its borders. Russia itself claimed that it understood India's concern, but after this SCO summit, it has escalated the war with Ukraine. So this is something like Russia not honoring its word. The third one is Pakistan. It's continuing its blame game. It's continuing its terrorist activities. It is not stopping there. So what it says is, yes, today SCO contains some countries like Russia, China, Pakistan, Iran, which are forming a new axis. He calls that as the so-called Red Quad, REDQUAD, resembling the communist forces. So this might be the actual purpose of SCO. These four people, Red Quad, will be countering the Quad in Indo-Pacific that is led by the democratic countries such as USA, Japan, Australia, and mainly India. So this says that these four countries are aligning together. Their version was similar. If you look at SCO, China as well as Russia has said that together we have to form a new world order. So they are thinking that the world order which was gained or which was led by democratic forces has to be taken by them. This is something which is uh, uh, which is the real thing that has happened in SEO. So what it says is, though India has spoken the concerns of mankind, a very good term, concerns of mankind. What it is this? The concerns, Manasakshi, Manavan Manasakshi. What is this? This is something which calls for peace, which calls for no war. Right? We didn't speak at this, but China on one side, it is aggressing in its borders and it is aligning with other forces in the thing. So this speaks about red quad that they are saying. So China, Russia, Iran, Pakistan, axis will dominate, and India should concentrate on cultivating bilateral relations with the democratic nations to build a pole for itself. This is very dangerous because uh, once the red quad is formed, that is going to directly counter India. As a result, India should be very wary of this, and we have to have a bilateral relation. So this is something which is a good article again. Those who are interested, you can read it. But the crux is this: in SEO, world leaders have groped in the dark about a new world order, which is not going to be possible to that easy extent. Rather than a new world order, these fellows are forming a red quad for themselves. This might make India to get away from these four blocks. As a result, in the coming days, India needs to have bilateral relations very strong to build its own narrative. right? Now this is the only thing from the editorials. So just two or three editorials. One is the opinion page of opinion article of Kishan Reddy, home and abroad, as well as this thing. After this, let's quickly go to other aspects that we can use as one-liners of orders for GS. Government to restrict awards given for scientific research. Department of Science and Technology decided to reduce the number of awards that is given to R&D people or medical researchers and scientists. This is only deserving candidates have to get it. So awards has to be given only for the deserving candidate, not for everyone. With this aim, they have reduced it. So keep in mind, somewhere you can use it. Now police clearance can be got at your post offices itself. That is, police clearance certificate will be included at all online post office seva kendras. Now what are these? This can be used in good governance, e-governance, where you are using e-technology to minimize the work to get police certification. Good governance, e-governance schemes you can use. Videos are 10 YouTube channels blocked for hate speech. In internal security, you have one topic called role of media and social media in creating challenges to internal security. So there are 7 channels on the YouTube which are spreading fake news, harmful videos which spread hatred among religious communities and spread misinformation related to Agnipath. Hence, they have blocked this. So this you can write in that context when you are mentioning something about the so-called hate speech. Modi leaves for Japan for the funeral of Shinzo Abe. Shinzo Abe is the person who has directed or who has steered India's and Japanese relations to a greater extent. Right, his bold vision for a quantum leap in our relations has happened. His bold vision has led for a quantum leap in our relations. So just remember that. Center pushes for NAVIC system, lamps smartphone chains on unknown road. Now this is the Indian government asking the smartphone companies to make those phones compatible with the homegrown navigation system, that is NAVIC. Just like your GPS system on your mobile phones, they want this system to be present. NAVIC is the Indian version or Indian navigation satellite system. So navigation with Indian constellation. This is our homemade navigation system. So the center wants to reduce the dependence on foreign systems, including US GPS, by having our own system. So this is Atma Nirbhar Bharat. Impact of drug mafia on youth is a grave situation. Just remember this. Supreme Court said that impact of drug mafia is having grave situation. Remember the term grave situation. You can use here and there impact of this. So this can be used on children, society, drug mafia. You can use this. So what are the things here? So social media platforms overblock, internal security threat, drug mafia serious threat, restrict the awards so that genuine people will get it. Online certificates can be got, police certificates, so e-governance and our own navigation system. Further, this story is entirely about the conflicts inside Congress. Leave it. Authorities looking into resort demolition in Uttarakhand murder case. Actually, recently what happened in Uttarakhand is authorities have bulldozed one apartment, thereby one girl who was caught there has passed away, and this is something which is happening. Leave it. Not much relevance. There is some relevance, I'll tell you in the coming days. Now, this is some big news coming from Supreme Court. Supreme Court has started live streaming of constitutional debates or constitutional bench hearings through YouTube. Now, what he says is, in order to increase transparency in the courts, we are live streaming it. And recently, in the RTI, Supreme Court made that the Office of Chief Justice of India is a public authority under RTI Act. Now, what is this public authority under RTI Act? RTI Act says all the public authorities should involve or should divulge the information to the public. So if you are filing some petition to know something about a public authority, you can have that information by filing RTI. So Supreme Court said that the Office of Chief Justice of India is under RTI, which means you can ask information regarding to this, which means This is something increasing transparency and accountability. So live streaming online RTI is going to help to a larger extent to the people, because it is going to increase transparency. Directly you can use in ethics and governance. 11 children among 15 dead in Russia. Some disaster again happening in the world. Just remember, just like in USA, where there will be some gun shootings, Russia is also going in the same line. Putin grants Snowden Russian citizenship. Snowden is the man who has played a very crucial role. He is the whistleblower who exposed massive surveillance by National Security Agency of USA. Right, National Security Agency of USA. He used to work there, and he has revealed the secret documents and surveillance that this NSA has done against the people's rights. So this is something, and Putin has granted him the Russian citizenship. Now, where you can use this in the so-called in India. After this only in 2012, after this happening in 2013, we have come out with national cyber security policy, right? So why? In order to protect government data. As government data is leaked by this man, we had this, right? So just remember that he has got Russian thing. One more good news coming from Cuba. Cuba gives not for same-sex marriage in an unusual referendum, right? Just remember this. So same-sex marriage is legalized here in Cuba. After this is for the day. These are the things that we have. One thing is here. So what it is saying is, disasters always have social inequalities also. So natural disasters also include or involve social inequalities. Just remember that. If not, don't go into it. A push for semiconductor industry. Recently, Government of India has given some incentives for the so-called semiconductor sector in India. India's modified initiative scheme for semiconductors has been giving some credit to the so-called semiconductors. Now, in this context, this article is speaking about the importance of semiconductors. Semiconductors are the building blocks of almost every electronic device that we know, because they act as transistors here. So, the silver of silicon semiconductors is having a huge global market of around 500 to 600 billion dollars, and India has 70 to 80 billion dollar market here. So we want to have this. As a result, this was included in PLI scheme, right? So what is our aim? We want to make India a $10 billion production by very soon. With that initiative, we have given this incentives. So this is the thing for the day. So quickly, a quick revamp of what are the things that we have in this paper for general studies as such. In GS1, there is no history. Society, yes, disasters are going to inculcate social inequalities that you can use. Geography, you have not much. In the polity, again some internal party democracy, and how democracy is giving way to the so-called totalitarianism, how direct democracy itself, not much relevance, leave it. In the polity, again, policy of tourism, very important thing. When it comes to international relations, two good articles carried international relations. What is the output of SCO? And the second one is, what is India's stand at the United Nations level? So that if you want to become a global power, build it at the national level, at the regional level, at the global level. That is the message that editorial has carried. In economy, our incentives towards semiconductor industry is something which has to be substantially appreciated. After that, if we go to other things, internal security component, again PFY, some articles are there. And then in the internal security front, you have something called role of social media in creating challenges to internal security that I discussed. So these are the things for the day. No need to dwell much apart, except two articles, and take this content, whatever I have underlined. No need to write anywhere. Just focus on every day you start seeing this, going through the newspaper. It will help you to be in touch with current affairs for the mains. I'll be making the video for prelims current affairs exclusively in a while. Keep watching. Have a great day. Thank you.